What's the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, it's Rosemary Lewis, your real estate bestie, and today we are going to literally have like Mortgage 101 and talk about the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. Now, before we get into this video, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. That way, every time we post a video, you will know all about it. And if you haven't heard, we have the Real Estate Bestie podcast. It is available on any podcast platform, and it's just a great place for us to have conversation. I do interviews with realtors, with lenders, and you know your girl, I'm just literally spilling all of my real estate guts on the podcast. So I would just love to connect with you there. But now let's talk about the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification. I know oftentimes there are situations and there are words that are thrown around, and you quite honestly might not know exactly what that means. And first of all, that is okay, right? No one expects you to know everything coming into the business. And that is one of the reasons why we have this YouTube channel, is to help educate you so that you can become more competent in this profession. Now, I will be the first to let you know that when I first came into the business, I didn't know the difference. Like, what is the difference between a buyer who says they are pre-qualified and a buyer who says that they are pre-approved? Because there is a really big difference, and you need the documentation to let you know which one they are. Now, let me break down the process for you on what happens when a buyer engages with a lender. So most times the lender will either verbally take the mortgage application over the phone, or the buyer can follow a link where they input all of their information. So they're going to input their information as it relates to, you know, what their income is, what debt they may have, and their social security number, job history, work history, all of that. Based on inputting that information, what then happens is that a lender will put that through their system to get an idea of what range the buyer may be pre-qualified for. Now, this is why that first portion is a pre-qualification, is because they are just verbally taking the buyer's information that they're giving them, right? Now, the lenders will go ahead and they will run credit, but before they're actually able to give you what's called a pre-approval, the buyer will then have to provide documentation that supports the information that they put on the loan application. So, for instance, let's just say I have a buyer that says that, you know what, I make $80,000 a year. My husband makes $60,000 a year. I input all of that on the loan application. Our credit score comes back and we can get pre-qualified. But I have to then submit my information, my actual paycheck stubs, anything that the lender is asking for, because they're going to need that information to verify that what I put on the loan application is accurate. Now, you may have heard the term before that buyers are liars, and there is kind of sort of some truth to that, but I've experienced it a different way. Because yes, you do have people that may overly, like a little bit, indulge what they make or what they put on the loan application, because sometimes they don't know. Like, I don't know exactly what my yearly salary is. Well, I know what mine is, but I'm just saying. They might not know what theirs is, and they might say, oh yeah, I make $100,000. But when it comes down to verifying that information, that $100,000 was really $90,000, right? So they may have been pre-qualified based on the information that they wrote down, but when the lender goes to verify it, it does not match up, so they have to make some adjustments. Or I've had this scenario, right, where yes, the buyer actually does make $100,000 a year. It just so happens though that $70,000 is from their job that they work, and the other $30,000 is from a side business that they don't necessarily haven't reported, or it's not income that the lender is able to use. So in that instance, the buyer did not go in intentionally not being honest, but they didn't realize that all of the information that they were provided, all of the monies that they received, will actually be usable by a lender. It can get a little deep, so I'm going to encourage you to just have these different conversations with your local lender. But the big difference is that for a pre-qualification, that is the buyer's word, and the pre-approval comes when we have verified that everything that we wrote down is true. Now, can you get a pre-approval even if what we verify is different from what you put down? Yes, we absolutely can, but it might affect the amount, right? So if you were unclear on what your purchasing power was, or you were unclear on what your income, I should say, was, and you put one thing down for the pre-qualification, you may have a pre-qualification for $500,000, but when the lender goes and they're verified, they see exactly what is usable income, who can actually be on the loan, they may come back and say, hey, we can still pre-approve you, but the pre-approval amount now is different. Instead of $500,000, we can pre-approve you for $480,000 or something like that. It's important, you all, that whether you're working with a buyer or seller, when you are looking at these documents that are accompanying offers, or if you are the agent offering, that you are clear that the lender has verified all of the information on the buyer's loan application. They have verified assets, they have verified credit, and they have verified employment, and that you, in fact, have a pre-approval and just not that qualification. The really important fact there is you don't want to have your buyer under contract only using a pre-qualification, only to then find out they cannot actually afford the home that you are under contract for. It is not a good situation at all. And on the reverse side, if you are a listing agent, you too want to make sure that on your listings, you are accepting offers that are being accompanied by a pre-approval. And I'm going to encourage the listing agent and honestly the buyer agent, I want y'all to go a step further. Instead of just getting that letter, I don't care if the letter says that they verified the assets. I want you to pick up the phone with that lender, have a conversation with them so that they can literally tell you on the phone, yes, I've looked at income, I've looked at assets, I've looked at employment, they're good, or here are our challenges. You want to be clear on the purchasing power of your buyers, okay? And furthermore, here's another reason why you want to pick up the phone, is that all lenders are not created equal. So if for whatever reason the client has not chosen to go with your preferred lender, you want to get on the phone with them to make sure that their vetting process was as detailed and thorough as you need it to be, and to establish rapport because you're going to be working with them on this deal. I hope that was helpful. Of course, based on this conversation, which one are we looking for? Tell me. Is it a pre-approval or a pre-qualification? You got it. We want a pre-approval, okay? So make sure that you are doing all of your due diligence, and now you know the difference. Now, if you made it to the end of this video and you are not subscribed to my channel, don't worry, boo. Just go ahead and hit the subscribe button right now so that you can be on our channel. And you know what? We are nearing the end of the year. I cannot believe it. And I know a lot of us are like really looking like, how are we going to tighten up our schedules? How are we going to tighten up our activities that we are doing? You can actually get a peek at what my real estate schedule looks like if you head on over to rosemarylewis.com/week. You will get that in your inbox right away. Okay? Bye, friends. See you next week.